The AI search platforms are becoming a more and more important source of leads and pipeline for B2B SaaS and tech. According to G2, 51% of B2B software buyers now start their research with the AI answer engines such as ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and CoPilot. And this is really reshaping vendor selection. G2's research also revealed that 69% of these software buyers wound up selecting a different vendor in the end than they had originally planned based on the recommendations from the AI answer engines. Furthermore, 33% wound up purchasing from a vendor that they had never heard of prior to their research. Gartner has uncovered that 70% of the B2B buyer journey is complete before they ever reach out to your sales team. They're doing a lot of research, and a lot of this is happening in the AI search platforms. The B2B buyer journey has shifted. So the question is, has your marketing shifted in line with it? There are a lot of companies coming to our agency now that are having difficulty gaining visibility in the AI search platforms. They're hearing a lot of different advice online. They're seeing different advice in YouTube, in LinkedIn, at conferences, and there's a lot of noise. And so with Stratabeat's GEO Playbook, what I want to promise you is that every recommendation that you're going to hear in this video is based on actual data. We've been conducting GEO correlation studies for the past year, and we're going to translate all of that data into insights and recommendations for you so that you gain more visibility and you gain more citations in the LLMs. So in this video, we're going to share the precise GEO playbook that has generated very strong AI search results for many companies. More than 60% of Stratabeat's clients are the #1 most cited domain among all domains for a set of custom non-branded prompts that we track for them. On top of this, and more than 61% of our clients are among the most recommended among their competitor sets. The playbook is highly effective, but there are no shortcuts, there are no hacks. What I want you to understand is that what we're after here is marketing excellence. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of intelligence, but when you do it the right way, it really pays off with a lot of brand visibility and a lot of citations in the LLMs. So let me explain who we are. Stratabeat is a B2B organic growth agency for B2B SaaS and technology companies. What we do is we provide advanced SEO, GEO, content strategy, analytics, conversion optimization, and web design services. We've already booked 2.3x the revenue that we achieved all of last year, and we're not even at the halfway point of the year. The vast majority of our leads this year are coming from the AI search platforms. GEO is hands down our #1 leads driver this year. Okay, so now you know who we are. Let's dive into the GEO playbook. This is precisely how to get your brand more visible in the AI engines such as Claude and ChatGPT, Gemini, and CoPilot. We're going to be looking at how to get you more brand mentions as well as more citations. So where we always love to start is with audience insights. We love to say deeper audience understanding and deeper audience insights solves 99% of your marketing problems. And it's true with GEO as well. Go very, very deep in understanding your audience, solving their problems, right? And when you do that, your GEO results improve quite significantly. So in understanding your audience more deeply, where do you start? We always start with customer interviews. Talk to your customers. Talk to them often. Don't have it as a one-time thing where you talk to them and then you don't talk to them again for 2 years. If you're the marketing team, you need to be talking with your customers on a regular basis. This needs to happen throughout the year. The insights that you're going to find, the questions that they're asking, the problems that they have, the challenges that they're trying to overcome, how they articulate their thoughts, all of these things are really important to your success and your success in the AI search platforms as well. And so be sure to be talking to your customers as much as possible. In addition, what you want to do is make sure that you're fully aligned with your CEO, your sales team, your customer success team, your product leaders, your customer support team. Talk to all of them. And I would say your salespeople, you want to be talking with them at least monthly or quarterly at a minimum, because what your customers are saying and the conversations that your salespeople are having is going to be changing every few months. What customers are asking 6 months from now is going to be quite different, probably, than what they're asking today. Now, in addition to talking with your salespeople, I'm going to ask that you listen to their sales call recordings. Your sales team needs to be recording their sales calls. They need to be sharing that with the marketing team, and marketing needs to be listening to those every single month. So make sure, this is very important, make sure that you have access to your sales team's sales call recordings, whether they're using Gong or SalesLoft or any other technology, doesn't really matter. What matters is understanding what kinds of conversations they're having, what questions they're hearing, what are the challenges, what resonates the most, what doesn't resonate, and that's going to help strengthen your marketing. What you can also do is CRM win-loss analysis, and that's very, very effective for understanding exactly why they buy from you and why they don't. Another source of audience insights is Reddit. Jump into Reddit and see what they're saying about your brand. Another way of using Reddit is to see what they're saying in terms of your types of solutions. So maybe not necessarily your brand, but what about your type of software, your type of products and solutions? What are they looking for? What are their frustrations? What are their pain points? It's a fantastic source of insights. You can also go into customer review sites like G2 and Trustpilot. See what they're saying about your brand. See what they're saying about other brands in the industry as well. Another source of fantastic insights is your search data. So what I want you to do is jump into your Google Search Console account and filter for long tail queries, say at least 8 or 10 words long. And you can use that as a proxy for what people are typing into the LLMs. What types of long tail queries do they have? Another thing that you can do is jump into Bing Webmaster Tools and look for the grounding queries report. And that's going to be a report on what people are actually typing into CoPilot as well as Bing. And that gives you additional insights into the actual questions that they're asking the LLMs. And look at popular content in your industry, right? What are people reading? What are people talking about? What's the buzz in your industry right now? The bottom line is that these audience insights are critical. What you want to do is make your ICP the soul of your website, the soul of your content, the soul of your marketing. Make them the center of everything that you do, everything that you produce. Okay, now let's switch gears. Let's talk about building solid infrastructure, a solid foundation for your website. So what I want you to do is make sure that your website is very soundly coded. Make sure that the code is very clean and that the website is accessible by bots. An important factor to look at is page load time. You really need to have fast loading web pages. You're going to perform better in the LLMs when your pages load faster. And so if page load time is a challenge, and I realize that it is for many B2B companies, you have to attack that head on. That has to be a high priority. Now, when we talk about the infrastructure of a website, make sure that your website hosting platform is very robust, very secure. You also want to include schema in your website. We're very, very strong proponents of schema. We've been implementing schema in our clients' websites for years and years, far before AI search. But here's the thing that you really need to understand is there's no direct correlation between schema and high visibility in the LLMs. We have conducted multiple correlation studies, and there's just no evidence. Also, Ahrefs ran a study of 1,885 websites looking at the correlation of schema and citations in the LLMs, and what they found was there was really no correlation. It didn't move the needle. And so our studies, as well as Ahrefs studies, point to the same thing. Schema is great for SEO. You should do it for SEO purposes, but when we're talking about GEO and correlation with high visibility and citations in the LLMs, it's simply not there. There's a lot of talk online about the LLMS.txt file. And here's the thing, although Google itself implements it in several of its developer websites, Google has come out and said that it's not a factor, and you don't really need an LLMS.txt file. There's no proof that the LLMs are reading it. So think of it this way. You can have an LLMS.txt file on your website, but there's probably no correlation. It's probably not going to move the needle for you. And so if you feel better having it, fantastic. If you don't, it's not going to hurt your results, at least for now. Okay, so we've talked about audience insights. We've talked about building a strong infrastructure for your websites. Now, let's talk about content strategies. And this is one of the most important things that we're going to talk about in this video. As I had mentioned, you want to make your ICP the soul of your content. That's going to make it really resonate very, very deeply. And you want to provide overwhelming value to your ICP. Make that the central focus. So again, don't focus on hacks, focus on delivering overwhelming value. So where do you start? Well, we would recommend that you start with your core pages, meaning your product pages, your solution pages, your use case pages, your industry pages. These are all very core to your business. They're directly correlated with driving sales. And so we would say start there, do a competitive analysis, and make sure that these core pages are much stronger than your competitors. Make sure that they are as robust and rich in content and information and helpfulness as possible. Next, what you want to look at is how to structure your page. And what we would say is provide a direct answer to the question running through their mind right at the top of the page. Don't beat around the bush, just answer the question at the top of the page, and then you can have much more depth and details lower on the page. And use conversational language whenever and wherever you can. So what I mean by that is use the language that your audience is using in the LLMs, asking lots of questions, right? So you can translate your H2s and H3s into question format. You can use questions at the start of paragraphs. You can embed FAQs in your content. Just think of sprinkling questions into your content wherever it makes sense. And then structure your content. How about a table of contents? What about a summary? What about key takeaways? What about bullet lists? What about call outs? What about tables in your content? What we found is that tables are actually very, very effective in increasing your visibility in the LLMs. And along the same lines, thinking of content structure, what I want you to do is really make sure that your headings are in a logical order. This makes a big difference. So in other words, you can have an H2 and then several H3s, another H2 and then several H3s. Below that, H4s. Then you can go back to H2, H3, H4. What we don't want you doing is jumping around from H5 to H2 to H3 to H5. So try and have a very logical order to the structuring of your headings. Create content that's focused on the long tail. Your audience is in the LLMs asking very, very detailed and granular questions, and you want to mirror that in your content. And so, for example, instead of, say, targeting wealth management, what you might want to do is target wealth management software for global advisory firms with enterprise level security and top-rated customer reviews. That would be one example of taking a topic, but then extending it out into the long tail. Create content that's focused on pain points and jobs to be done. I love pain point focused content because it helps you convert more. It helps you generate more leads and pipeline. It directly speaks to their pains and their frustrations and their challenges. And there's really very little that's as valuable as that in content marketing. Too many marketers are over-reliant on keywords. Keywords are fantastic. They're very important for SEO. But what you want to also do is balance that with a lot of pain point focused content that really resonates very deeply. Now, the fintech company Ramp ran some interesting studies, and one of the studies was looking at tweaking pain point focused content, updating the page, focusing on content structure of the page. And what they found was when they did this, there was a 78% lift in brand visibility in the LLMs. And so again, focus on pain points. By far and away, the most effective content type that we're seeing in AI search today is best of listicles. So these are lists of the best solutions in a specific category. So for example, best CRM software for financial services or best cybersecurity solutions in the energy sector. We're seeing these best of listicles performing really, really well in terms of surfacing the brand in the LLMs, having the brands mentioned and recommended by the LLMs, as well as on the citation side as well. They tend to be cited quite often. What you can also do is look at alternative content. And what I mean by that is looking at alternatives to a specific competitor of yours. So let's say that you're competing against Salesforce, for example. You might run a content piece that's focused on Salesforce alternatives or Salesforce agentic CRM alternatives, that type of content. In a similar way, you can also look at competitor content. So that would be your brand versus a competitor. Or if your brand is unknown, you don't have any brand awareness, no one would ever be searching that way, then what you can do is look at the top 2 brands in the market or the top several brands in the market and attach your brand to the comparison. So it might be brand A versus brand B versus your brand. And then do an entire page dedicated to a comparison and make sure that the comparison is honest. Make it clear who you are best for. What are the specific audience segments or personas who you're best for? But do the same thing for your competitors as well. Okay, here's a tip which is very, very effective and too many companies are not employing it. So what I want you to do is really focus on industry targeting and not just having one industry page per industry, which a lot of companies do, but what I want you to do is build an entire ecosystem of content supporting each industry. When you do this, when you go all in on each industry and you build robust content for each industry, you do perform better in the LLMs for anyone who's searching for solutions for that specific industry. This can be not only blog posts, but also articles, it can be white papers, it can be videos, it can be webinars. Really, what you want to do is have a wide variety of content supporting each industry. Okay, so next up is one of my very favorite forms of marketing, and that is proprietary data and original research. This is very effective in AI search. In one of Stratabeat's GEO correlation studies, what we found was that B2B websites that offer original research achieve 28.9% higher brand visibility in the LLMs. Other benefits of original research are that it helps you cut through the noise, helps you differentiate the brand, helps you get a lot of mentions and word of mouth and backlinks. Also, original research tends to build a lot of trust with your audience. It's fantastic for lead generation as well. And so for many, many different reasons, including for GEO reasons, we would recommend that you really lean into original research as much as possible. There are many other things that you can do with your content as well to help you gain greater visibility and citations in the LLMs. For example, instead of just looking at one topic and producing one piece of content, look at producing topic clusters. So have many supporting pieces. Look at a hub and spoke model. It's fantastic for SEO, and it is equally fantastic for the LLMs. Another thing that you can do is really rely on stats and data as much as possible. Focus on numbers. It tends to do very well in the LLMs. Also, include clear author bylines. Make it clear who wrote the piece. Make it clear what their expertise is. Name your writers and spell out their qualifications. And please, let's kill boring content. Do not create boring content. Your ICP, your audience, those are real people, right? And we want to convert them. If you're creating boring content, your conversion rates are going to plummet. And so please, when doing all of this, yes, we want to focus on all these different things to gain greater visibility in the LLMs, but at the same time, we want to deliver overwhelming value, and we want to avoid producing just mediocre, boring content that doesn't serve anyone. Instead, focus on being an exceptional brand, deliver overwhelming value to them, have a real point of view. That way, when you gain visibility in the LLMs, you're going to convert at a much higher rate. Okay, let's turn our attention to the correlation between SEO and GEO. So what Stratabeat has found in our data studies is that there is a direct correlation between a high domain rating and higher visibility in the LLMs. And so make sure that your SEO is rock solid, because you can achieve much higher visibility in the LLMs in turn. And we see this with our clients all the time. When there are clear visibility gains on the SEO side in Google, we see similar types of gains in the LLMs. This happens all the time. The other reason for ensuring a strong SEO program is that when the LLMs don't have an answer for a specific query, what they'll do is conduct fan-out queries. And the fan-out queries are online queries to typically Google, and there could be 10 for a specific query, there could be 30 for a specific query. And so it's very, very important that your SEO is very robust for capturing these fan-out queries. So for all of these reasons, just make sure that your SEO is very robust, because it will in turn have a positive impact on your GEO results. Okay, another aspect of Stratabeat's GEO playbook is really focusing on brand building. What you want to do is have a very, very strong brand, and this might sound counterintuitive in a performance marketing area, but having a strong brand is kind of like a rising tide that lifts all boats. Having a very strong brand, having strong brand perception means that others are going to be talking about you, mentioning you, and the LLMs prioritize that. They will be recommending your brand more, the more that the market at large is recommending your brand. Conduct PR, promote your content, amplify what you're doing, have very specific marketing plays to get the word out about your brand, engage in Reddit discussions, make sure that your customers are leaving very positive G2 and Trustpilot and other types of reviews online for you. In other words, make sure that others are talking about you online. And here's one thing that you can do. Oftentimes, when we meet with a new prospect, what we find is that they might be producing content, but they're oftentimes forgetting about promoting that content. And so, for example, maybe they're producing 8 blog posts a month, maybe they're producing a webinar a month, maybe a white paper every quarter. But then when we ask them what they're doing to promote all this content, oftentimes there's just silence. And so make sure when you're producing a lot of content that you have equal weighting on how you're going to promote it, how you're going to get it in front of the right audiences. That's very important. Remember, be very loud. Promote, promote, promote. When it comes to citations in the LLMs, what many agencies and consultants will tell you is that third-party websites are more important than even your own domain. But we're here to tell you that that's not actually the case. It's actually the opposite. Nothing is more important than your own domain. So think of it this way. A citation is a link to your website, for example, right? And there's nothing more important than guiding the person to your website, having a brand experience, experiencing your content, experiencing your offers, experiencing your CTAs. What you want to do is build brand affinity with your audience. And the best way to do that is on your own controlled properties. Like we said, digital PR and being very loud about content promotion and getting the word out there is very, very important. And that's very true. You should be getting citations in Reddit where your brand is mentioned, or in G2 where your brand is mentioned, or the Wall Street Journal where your brand is mentioned. But if you have a choice, obviously having full control, having them come to your website with your brand experience, building brand affinity with them directly is the most valuable thing that you can do. Think of it this way. Let's say that you appear in a Reddit thread. Maybe 5 or 7 or 10 of your competitors are also in that same thread. Maybe you're not listed first. Maybe you're listed 7th or 10th. Maybe none of you are even listed at the top of the page. Maybe someone has to scroll and scroll and scroll to even find your brand. And what percentage of the readers actually scroll that far to see your brand? And so obviously getting mentioned in Reddit is very, very important. We are strong believers in that. We strongly urge all of you to do that. Take Reddit very seriously, take third-party websites very seriously, take PR very seriously. But at the end of the day, your domain can be highly cited in the LLMs and can actually outperform all of the third parties for your core set of non-branded prompts that your audience is typing into the LLMs. As mentioned earlier, over 60% of Stratabeat's clients are the #1 most cited domain for their set of non-branded prompts that we track for them. #1, they're beating Reddit, they're beating Wikipedia, they're beating the Wall Street Journal, they're beating Forbes. So you can do it. You just have to do it the right way. Now, you might see data studies out there that are looking at a lot of citations, perhaps millions of citations, and telling you that, for example, Reddit is the most important domain for gaining citations. But again, think of it this way. What those studies are doing is they're combining many, many different prompts, which are completely, entirely irrelevant to your brand. What we're talking about is looking at only the prompts that matter to your audience, only the prompts that your audience would be typing into the LLMs. And for those, you absolutely can be the #1 most cited brand and beat all of the third parties, whether it's a competitor, whether it's a publication, or whether it's a community. Okay, let's talk about marketing integration. So if you want to maximize your results in AI search, what you want to do is not only focus on GEO, but you want to look at GEO and SEO and content and PR. And on top of that, you can also look at executive branding. When you look at combining SEO and GEO, it's very powerful because there's a lot of overlap. Let's say that there's 80-85% overlap in what you would be doing anyway. And so it's double the ROI. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of content strategies today, and that ladders up to a lot of GEO results that you can be achieving. And PR is the way that you get the word out there. It's the way that you do get third-party mentions. It's the way that you do get backlinks. It's the way that you cut through all the noise. You can differentiate. You can get in front of new audiences, and it's very helpful for gaining incremental lift in citations. And so what would be a practical example of this integrated approach? Well, let's go back to what we were recommending earlier, which is original research. So with original research, what Stratabeat has done, for example, is we have done many different correlation studies, whether it's on the B2B SEO side or on the B2B GEO side. And then we are featured in various podcasts. We're interviewed on these podcasts. We are the featured guests on many webinars. We're even featured live at in-person conferences where over the past 2 years alone, we have presented in front of thousands and thousands of our ICP simply based on the original research that we had. And so let's look at this holistically. Let's look at it in a very integrated way. It isn't that we just want to do original research, it's that we want to promote it and we want to get it in front of our audience. Do all of this, and what you're going to have is a very powerful marketing flywheel in motion. It's going to make it easier and easier and easier to get stronger and stronger and stronger results. Okay, so we've been talking about a lot of ways for you to gain greater visibility and more citations in the LLMs, but how do you measure success? How do you measure the success of GEO? One of the things that we would recommend is really focusing on brand mentions and citations. And you can use lots of different software to track this. We use Scrunch, but you can also use software such as Profound or Peak. There are many different software applications out there for you to consider. You can also look at direct traffic from the LLMs to your website. However, keep in mind that a lot of the user behavior that we're seeing is that not that many people go directly from the LLMs to your website. The volume is going to be low. Also, tracking that can be very, very difficult for certain AI platforms such as Claude. One thing that we've been implementing for our clients, which is very, very effective, is self-reported attribution. So for example, in a requested demo form or in a contact us form or talk to sales form, what we do is we add a field, how did you hear about us? And then one of those options is AI search. And that has been really, really helpful in identifying just how many leads are coming from the AI search platforms. And what you also want to do is look at correlations. So for example, if your brand mentions are increasing in the LLMs and you also see an increase in direct traffic to the website and an increase in leads, there might be a correlation there. Or let's say that you're seeing an increase in brand mentions in the LLMs as well as an increase in branded search and an increase in leads. there might be a good correlation there as well. So look for the different correlations, because attribution right now is broken. It's very difficult. And so sometimes these correlations can be very, very helpful in filling the gaps. So there you have it, a very high level view of Stratabeat's GEO playbook. We want you to follow the advice so that you can gain greater brand visibility, more citations in AI search platforms such as Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, and CoPilot. And if you're interested in talking with us about improving your performance in the AI answer engines, give us a shout. Head on over to stratabeat.com, contact us. We'd love to hear from you.